Welcome back. Vision 2030 is very big in terms of various aspects that will make this country move forward. One of them, of course, is a realization that agriculture is not going anywhere. Still a biggest contributor to the GDP and more in terms of employment as well. But as you've seen, especially in areas that were heavily agricultural are now becoming beautiful landscapes in terms of real estate. Is this the way to go, and can this be salvaged? We're speaking now to Mount Elgon Kenya Limited. Are you the MD?
MD, that's right.
You haven't written that here, for obvious reasons. He says director, Mr. Bimal Kantaria. It's good to have you.
Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
Very well.
Very good.
Let's divorce this for a bit and talk about you. Interesting. Why are you very passionate about agriculture? Because I know you've been with Elgon since 1991.
That's right. Jimmy, you won't believe, I'm
Wow.
actually a third generation Indian. My family came in 1898 to Kenya.
So you're born and raised
I'm a
here.
real Wananchi.
You're a Kenyan?
Yeah, and my great-grandfather came to Kenya. My grandfather was born in Kiambu, my father in Kiambu, and I was born in Kiambu. I have a son as well.
So you understand agriculture more than anyone else.
You know, we're living in that Kiambu area.
Absolutely. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, look, do you believe what's happening? The landscaping now. You know, you've got real estate coming in. No one is farming anymore.
Nobody's farming
because it's
anymore.
difficult. The production has gone up. What you get back in terms of what you put in doesn't add up.
You know, to be honest, you can't blame the landowner. The landowner has agriculture. He can grow tea or coffee,
Sure.
which is prices vary. The rainfall is difficult, or he sells it or develops it on property.
Absolutely.
And a plot of land today, it's worth a fortune, isn't it? So
yes.
you can't blame the landowner.
No.
But it's a tragedy, because if you look at what's happened to coffee production, tea production, it's all per square acreage is down.
Yes.
And that's where we are coming in as Elgon Kenya.
Talk about Elgon Kenya. You've been around for a bit.
We've been around for a long time, over 100 years.
1953?
Yeah, over 100 years. In Kiambu, we used to be, again, agro-input company. We supply chemicals and fertilizers to farmers. We manufacture greenhouse films,
Right.
packaging materials. So we're actually the biggest in East Africa for agro-inputs at the moment. And I see that as there's a green revolution coming in Kenya.
Right,
And that's why
that's
I
right.
wanted to talk to you this morning about Jimmy.
Right.
There's exciting things happening in this
I see what you
country.
mean. Talk about that in terms of the exciting things happening, and more specifically, I know you're very big in terms of irrigation and irrigation
right.
technologies, newfound technologies
That's
that will
right.
take agriculture to another level.
That's
Talk
right.
about those, and how will that then reinvigorate the agricultural sector, and more specifically, you know, the small-scale farmer who's feeling, you know what, agriculture is for the big guys,
That's
guys who
right.
have 100+ acres.
That's right.
That's your game. For me,
Yeah.
my small plot, which you, like you rightfully said, you know, I can fetch a lot of money through that. I can
That's right.
do real estate with that.
That's right.
How are you going to bring
know,
them back into the fold?
It's all about food security, and that's where the game is now. We have got vagary of the rainfall.
Yes.
Rainfall it's difficult to predict.
True.
So the little rainfall we have, we've got to make sure we get the maximum output from it. Classic example is Israel. Israel's in the middle of a desert, right?
Yeah.
But they use irrigation, drip irrigation, sprinkler systems. So the limited rain they get, they make sure they store it well, and every single drop is then used in the right crop in their small shambas.
Absolutely.
And that's where our company is now launching. We've launched drip irrigation from Israel, from a company called Nandan. Now, Nandan is the second biggest in the world for irrigation equipment. And we've been working there for a number of years, and now we've said, okay, let's do it a proper formal partnership.
Right.
Because Kenya and East Africa is going through this revolution, and every shamba wants to use their rainfall correctly. So that's why we've come out with a real small farmer's kit, we call it.
I see.
It's got 500 meters square of drip in it. It's got a collapsible tank in it. It's got small fittings in it. You come and buy the box from us. It doesn't cost much, 10,000, 12,000 shillings. You plug it into your shamba, and you can grow cabbages, you can grow carrots, whatever you want.
Right.
But in the same square meterage of your shamba, you will get maybe double to triple the output. And that's where the secret is.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you put a greenhouse structure and a plastic, nice covering on it, you will get at least 3 times output from the same square meter. Now, you can buy lots of farmers' kits in the market,
Right.
and they're quite expensive, 100,000, 150,000.
Yes.
You've seen them everywhere.
Yes.
We saying we have farmers' kits as well. That's great, no problem. But if you haven't got the money and you want to do an economical scheme, we will sell you the UV plastic. It's called UV treated plastic, the greenhouse film.
Right.
When you drive to Naivasha and
Yes,
have you seen
I've
these
that.
big things?
Exactly.
All you need is wooden structure, put our greenhouse on top of it, the plastic on top of it, and it'll do the same job. There's no need to go and spend hundreds of thousands of shillings on a metal structure, right?
Absolutely.
With good treated cypress or pine, you can do the same structure, yeah.
You said that there's a revolution happening.
Yes,
many people feel, and maybe that's why there's some sort of revolution in terms of what to do with the piece of land.
Yes.
You obviously know better. Tell us what's happening really in terms of the small-scale farmer. Is he getting back into the fold? And is it because of your technologies in terms of being able to utilize a small piece of land, to triple what you produce?
Jimmy, you and I are quite young. In our father's times, we used to have.
We are, exactly.
In our father's time, there used to be government extension officers.
Yes.
You remember those guys, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you used to come to your mom's
yes,
farm.
Absolutely.
And they used to teach your mom and the farmers at that area how to use your
structural adjustments.
That's right. They've all gone.
Yes.
Now, what we've had to do as a private company, we've had to start our own extension officers. So in my company, we have extension officers who go every time, like we went to Nyeri, we go and spend the whole day with a farmer. We call them into a room, a big room, 200, 300 farmers come together.
All right.
And then we teach them the new latest technology. We provide lunch for them. It's a day out for the farmer, but we teach them on the new types of chemicals available, the new insecticides, fungicides. We teach them about the spray pump, our greenhouse materials, the new seeds that our company is selling. We also have now small packs of chemicals. So like 50 bob and 100 bob, you can get a small pack of insecticide or herbicide or chemical you can do to increase your productivity of your farm.
Well done.
The problem is, it's a small company. I'm a small guy, and I can only reach so many farms and so many towns. The extension officers are where the government needs to step in. Agriculture is 70% of this economy.
That's right.
It's just the heart of this country.
Absolutely.
And companies like mine and my competitors are also doing the same thing, but we need some sort of overall support, which I think the government is on track.
Because
really.
I do remember, I think it was in the last budget. And sorry if Bimal and I can get carried away. So we're inviting you to come in and ask your questions or give comments. Use the SMS number, which is 2442. That's 2442. We're talking about farming technologies and more so focusing a lot more on how we're able to keep agriculture and encourage small-scale farmers to come together in terms of, just basically increasing our food security. Your thoughts, your questions, and your comments on 2442. And of course, we convey them to our guest today. Government, I think it was the last budget, they put some monies aside in terms of irrigation. It was a big story in terms of, the re-emergence of government support in terms of irrigation or perhaps new ways of thinking. You're saying they've done a lot more? How?
I think this particular government has got his head screwed on properly. It's doing a good job, really. Besides the criticism we can give the government, they're also doing a good job, I think. Like the Maya is obviously a famous scheme now. Now they've got an organization called the National Irrigation Board, who are doing a fabulous job, to be honest, and they are encouraging irrigation in certain areas. So I think government's on the right track, and they've realized because of the problems with the rainfall, that irrigation is really the way to go. And they've been supported heavily by the Israeli government and the Dutch governments who are involved with them as a lot. So I think we should give government credit where it's due. Yeah, they're doing a good job. But of course, the problem is big. We have a big country. We have 40 million people in our country, and the government, you can't expect them to go everywhere. So the guys like me, guys like your program is critical to the country. You're teaching farmers new techniques. And the guy sitting in Eldoret, the farmer in Eldoret or near Newquay who's listening to this show knows now irrigation is critical. The UV plastic is important.
And accessible.
Using accessible.
How would you say cheap? Well, not cheap. You say reasonable. And government does come in terms of National Irrigation Board. Do you work do you work together in terms of, or does government then bring, all your companies together in terms of people who do the same thing as you do to be able to give access to the farmer?
No, I think
how does it work?
Yeah, NAB is quite clever. What they did is they were given money by the government.
Right.
So they have now tendered out, and they did a scheme last year, and they said to private sector, we have money, but you come and show us how the scheme works. So they've given us, in Kibwezi, they got a big chunk of land, and they got farmers. So they said, this area, less irrigated. So they've allowed a private sector to come in and teach government, in a way, through NIB, the right way of doing irrigating in a huge area, 10,000 acres. It's a huge area.
Well done.
And that, of course, will have knock-on effects of education, teaching farmers and all that. So I think that's the right way of doing it. But again, guys like us come in, we have our own irrigation systems. We have a big, like flower farms, for instance, in this country. Right?
Yes.
We supply all the flower farms in this country, Nevash and Nakuru, all our customers for irrigation, for UV. So I think the government's okay, and I think this is the right way of doing things.
I see what you mean.